Here we have the Breitling Navitimer 43. This is the subtle sunray black dial, the reverse panda color configuration on this diagonally cut 7-link pilot bracelet. And I have to say, this is a stone cold stunner. It's beautiful. This is a gorgeous chronograph with great history. And you know what? This is a popular chronograph. This has been a mainstay with Breitling for over 70 years, and I think it is one of those very few instantly recognizable watches that you can pick out from across the room. And there aren't a lot of watches in the market that, could boast that. So there is something great about the Navitimer, the history of this watch going back to 1952, even with the Navitimer going to space with astronaut Scott Carpenter in 1962. There's a lot to the history of the Navitimer, and I've had a lot of fun researching the model and learning about the ins and outs and the underrated models that have come out over the years. It's a fun rabbit hole to go down. Thank you to Saltzman's Watches for lending in this modern release for a review. Saltzman's is a family-owned Breitling authorized dealer in Rhode Island. I have worked with them for years. I bought from them multiple times. They're a great authorized dealer. So if you're shopping Breitling, Tag Heuer, or any of the brands that they carry, I definitely recommend them. And I've linked their store below. Now let's talk about the good, the positives, the reasons why this Breitling is special, and then we'll talk about areas for improvement and end with a couple questions. So starting with the movement, this is the B01 in-house movement. This is a chronometer certified watch that has 47 joules. It beats at 4 hertz. It has 70 hours of power reserve. It has a column wheel. It has Kif shock absorbers. This has traditional striping and brushwork and polished areas. I think it's an attractive looking sporty chronograph, and it has all of those specs that we like to see as watch collectors. And I think it was a great move on the part of Breitling to display this behind a sapphire exhibition crystal. If this had a closed off steel case back, it just wouldn't have the impact that this does have with the display case back, where you see the movement, you see where a lot of your money is going, and I think that's a good thing. Now, this watch also has a slide rule, a circular slide rule that is bi-directional moving. It's completely silent. It's not difficult to turn, and this would allow a pilot to make quick calculations as they're navigating an aircraft. That's the history of the slide rule bezel. And, with its roots as being a tool, I like the fact that Breitling has stuck with it. Even though the people buying this watch today, they're likely not using the slide rule to make calculations, although they could if they wanted to. This also has a domed sapphire crystal with AR coatings on both sides of the crystal, and I want to say that this is among the best in the business. It is so clear. The clarity is fantastic. And when there is a light source that's directly, reflecting off of the crystal, there is a muted iridescent blue sheen that just really looks great. So I love the crystal. I love the history of the watch. I really respect this sporty movement, and I think this bracelet is beautiful. The 7-link diagonally cut pilot bracelet takes this watch to the next level. Even though the Navitimer looks fantastic on a leather strap, there's just something about the jewelry-like presence of this 7-link bracelet and that upscale drape that this has. Very impressed with the bracelet. Although I think the sequential butterfly style clasp is a bit of a letdown. There is no quick adjustment here, but there are included half links to help dial in the fit. Now, going in on the dial on a macro level, you'll see a subtle black sunray finish, a reverse panda color scheme, and then there are polished applied hour markers, polished pencil hands, and then a polished gilt tone AOPA logo that harkens back to the 1950s and celebrates the aviation history of the Navitimer. I also like the fact that there is a date, but instead of being nestled between sub-registers like in prior generations of the Navitimer. This is now hidden within that bottom 12-hour sub-register, so it's color matched to the sub-register and kind of blends into the background, which I think is a good move. Now, overall, this watch just has great presence. The ARC on the crystal makes a positive difference. The inclusion of this 7-link bracelet really takes it to the next level. And although I would classify the watch as slightly dressy, it doesn't feel overly blingy, which some Breitling models can come across as. I mentioned the great model history, how fun it is to research the different Navitimers that have been released over the years, including the Zen-made versions, which is kind of fun to learn about. My opinion, this is the most recognized Breitling design. If you are only going to own one Breitling in your life, I think a Navitimer would be a great choice. And I also like the fact that Breitling gives us a number of different colors, different size options from 41 to 43 like this version, on up to 46. And I've tried all 3 sizes personally. And with a wrist size of 7.25 inches, I could comfortably do any of the sizes. The 46 plays a little bit smaller. The 43 is probably my favorite, and the 41 is underrated in terms of size. Now, what are areas for improvement? I would say that this watch is pretty pricey, and if you go up in size, there's a corresponding price jump. And a good rule of thumb is if you increase about $50 per millimeter of case diameter, that would be the going rate. So the larger you go, the more you pay. And I mentioned earlier, this could use a quick adjustment style clasp. This is an aviation watch after all, and I think that would be justified, especially at around $10,000 full retail on a bracelet. Now let's end with 2 questions. 1, which is the best color to pick from? Do you go conservative like blue or black, or do you go more bold with green or ice blue or copper or salmon? You know what? In all of the Navitimers that I've seen, this reverse panda is among my favorites. There's just no situation that this wouldn't look good in. Whether you put this on a leather strap or you wear it on the bracelet, I think this one is hard to beat. But the mint is underrated, and I recently saw the green dial, which looks fantastic in person. Breitling does green dials very, very well. So it's kind of a pick your flavor. How ostentatious or how subtle do you want to be? There's a flavor for you. Now, lastly, I think this is the big point here. Why buy a Navitimer? Why not buy a watch like a Tudor Black Bay chronograph that has a similar Breitling-made movement? Obviously not exactly the same, but part of a movement exchange program between Breitling and Tudor. The Tudor Black Bay chronograph is thousands cheaper at retail price, and I certainly think that Black Bay chronograph is the leader in value at the luxury price point. But as an owner of both a Tudor Black Bay chrono and a Navitimer, the dial isn't as intricate. The case is not finished as well. The bracelet's not finished as well. The movement's not finished as well. I mean, the movement's not even close when it comes to finishing. The crystal isn't as well coated with ARC. And if you hold the 2 in person, you can absolutely tell that the Breitling is the nicer watch. It has the history that the Tudor just does not have. So whether or not all of those things is worth $4,000 more, that's a question that you'll have to answer for yourself. And I think the answer is going to be a little bit different for most people. I kind of see it as comparing, say, an F-150 and a Mustang. Both have a very similar Coyote V8 under the hood, but they are very different feeling products, as are a Navitimer and a Black Bay chronograph. Thank you for watching today. Reach out with questions. Check out Saltzman's watches. I've linked them below. Like this video if you got something from it. And please subscribe for more content like this. I really appreciate that. Thanks.